backstage, in front of the stage. I don't know if anybody saw me, but that was a blast. So thank you so much. Good day, everybody. I really appreciate you attending the West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce's first monthly Luncheon Inspire 2021. And boy, could we all use a dose of inspiration right now. My name is Catherine Harrington, President and CEO, and we are thrilled that today you will be hearing from the top leaders, not only in West Des Moines, not only in the state of Iowa, but the world. Yes, honestly, this is so exciting. We could not be happier that you are here, taking your time. Our expert panelists, we are here to inspire you, and they are going to be imparting their words of wisdom. Our panel today includes Dan Houston, Dr. Richard Deming, Beth Shelton, Simon Estes, Suku Radia, and Renee Hardman. You know, all of our programming in 2021 revolves around progress, positivity, possibility, and perseverance. And we are proud to kick off this year with these incredible leaders that are working hard on our behalf, trying to help make our world a better place. And they are doing that, each and every one. We'd like to thank our sponsors today as well that help make this event possible, including presenting sponsor Shive-Hattery and supporting Christopher's Fine Jewelry. Thank you to today's attendees, city officials, members, board, ambassadors, community, and our stellar chamber team, which includes Kara Matheson, Anna Dowd, Nicole Langmaid, and Bailey First. Bailey First is our official Zoom master today. So Bailey, thank you for your expertise in this new land of virtual staging. As a reminder, everybody, we are taping, so smile big for the camera, keep your mics muted, and use the chat box to express your appreciation for what you are hearing and your appreciation for each other. You know what? We are all about love here at the West Des Moines Chamber, so please feel free to express your love for what you're hearing, for one another, and we could also use more of that in the world now. If we do have time at the end, we'll do some Q&A, but we'll see how that goes. We'd also like to take a moment and show our love and support for our West Des Moines first responders and critical care workers that have been working so hard for our citizens right now during this incredible time in our history. I'm now happy to turn the virtual podium over to Anna Dowd, our Director of Membership and Strategic Partnerships, and she's going to make some more exciting announcements. Anna Dowd.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Catherine. Well, I have the pleasure today of announcing our Ambassador of the Year for 2020. So for those of you who aren't familiar, our ambassador program is an amazing group of leaders that we consider our ultimate chamber champions. They work so hard to attend events, talk with our members, and just help promote the great city of West Des Moines. So each year we do like to recognize one ambassador that has gone above and beyond. And that ambassador for the 2020 year was Jay Mathis. So shout out to Jay Mathis for being our ambassador of the year, and for Mary Ann Kennedy, who was our runner-up. I believe Jay is with us today, so I'm gonna turn it over to Jay just to say a few quick words.
Awesome, thank you guys. Jay Mathis is my name. Yeah, what a great ending to a not so great year. You know, we all fought this all together, and we try to do as best we can with the year that we've had. But anyway, very excited, very proud. But you know, not only am I a West Des Moines resident, but I'm a huge advocate of the West Des Moines Chamber. I think it's a great organization, and I couldn't be more proud to be part of them as well. But of all the people I've met, thank you to everybody. I met a lot of great people. I met a lot of great businesses. You know, that's what I'm here for. We're here to help everybody. So. Had a pleasure of meeting a lot of great people, but I just want to say thank you to the chamber, and the next beer is on me. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jay, for all that you do for the chamber and for the West Des Moines community. Next up, I am excited to present our supporting sponsor for the luncheon today, and that is Christopher's Fine Jewelry. So huge shout out to Christopher's Fine Jewelry, to Christine and her team for their continued support. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Christine.
Well, thank you. Hello and good morning, everyone. We are proud to be here as well. I think I would echo exactly what Jay had to say. This is a great community, and while we're a little new yet to the West Des Moines community, we are loving the opportunities we've had, the people we're meeting, and loving supporting our community. Today, I wanted to just take a moment to highlight our estate jewelry department. As I think is an important part of us supporting our community is we do purchase jewelry from the public. So with people being home right now, cleaning out your closets is kind of a thing. I don't know if anybody else is doing the Marie Kondo thing, but looking at what you may have at home. And we just wanted to let everyone know that if you have items of jewelry, luxury watches that you no longer need, or maybe you found Aunt Sue's jewelry box from 1940 that you inherited and you're like, gosh, I'm just not sure what we should do with that. We would love to be helpful with that.
Calendar and go through my sort of checklist and some things that cross my mind. And I don't know how you handle your own personal performance reviews of your employees, or even self-reflect on your own growth personally. But one of the things I've always asked my boss, if you will, over the years has been, if my stock traded for $1 last year, how does it trade this year? Does it trade at $1.05 or does it trade at 95 cents? And I think it's a great way to make yourself vulnerable and give whoever's providing feedback to you a sense of progress and how you're coming along in your development. I think it applies both personally and professionally. If you have the courage to do it with your spouse or partner, I would encourage you to take a crack at that as well. And then I'm a big fan of both personally and professionally setting very rigid goals. And so again, I don't think you can have progress personally or professionally unless you've set appropriate goals. This morning, I suspect many of you had the opportunity to listen in on Nick Nurse, the Toronto Raptors head coach who has ties back to Western Iowa, Carroll County, the city of Carroll, and went on to Northern Iowa and won an NBA championship, is a very new member of the NBA coaching leagues. And I sat in awe this morning for 30 minutes as he very humbly described his progress. And I don't think he would say success. I think it's been his growth, his progress towards greatness. But one of the ideas that he had shared was the simple fact of always just asking the question and seeing who would come along for the ride. And he spoke out specifically about the Wells Fargo Arena and the need for a D League, and no one said no, and they moved it forward and went to Jerry Crawford. Jerry Crawford gave it the nod that, yeah, that might be a good idea. And the next thing you know, Des Moines got a D League franchise for the NBA. And he just, because he had the courage, again, from a positive perspective, to just simply ask the question. And I think all of us can learn from the power of approaching things in the most positive context as opposed to a negative context. And then possibility, I think, is a big one, because I do think we have over time a sense not to dream is big. Dr. Deming is on the panel today, and probably one of the most world-renowned cancer doctors in the world. And he had a dream to have a much bigger cancer treatment facility that was more holistic in nature. And I had the privilege to be on a panel with him years ago and be on the board of directors at Mercy. And I just was always humbled by the level of intensity by which he went at his trade and becoming innovative and creative and trying new things. The other thing I would say here about possibility, I think it's really important that we frame things. I try to always do that in the global context. And the only way you do that in terms of the art of the possible is to have a lot of diverse views at the table. I think all of us have to work hard to make sure that we have diverse teams that we work with, but more importantly, that you have the courage to listen to your team that oftentimes will have a different point of reference, a different view. That's why you build diverse teams. You should be paying very close attention to that. And then last one around perseverance. It's the ability to overcome adversity. And I do think that all of us have to be grounded and understanding that life can be tough. And only, the last year we've witnessed the need to overcome adversity and to persevere through difficult times. We all know family members that have fought through terrible diseases. There's been death. There's been a lot of adversity. And so when I listen to a person complain about things that are quite routine, I usually will call them out on it. That there's really big issues for this world to face, and you're focusing on petty issues. Go up 30 or 40,000 feet. Let's go accomplish something quite big. Just within the last 2 years, we hired a Navy SEAL by the name of Coleman Ruiz. And Coleman is a guy who just great motivational speaker. But one of the items that he had shared with us that day was fight the fight that you have, not the one you want. And oftentimes I do think we try to fight the fight we want, not the fight that we have. And I think it's imperative that we recognize that we go ahead and put things into proper context, and that we fight the fight that's in front of us and confront it and deal with it. So with that, Catherine, I'll yield any balance of my time. Maybe we get to Q&A, but very much looking forward to being part of this panel discussion. So thank you again for including me.
I love that so much. And you mentioned that you have set rigid goals for yourself. I don't know if other people were thinking this, but we would be so interested in learning how you do that, what those rigid goals are, your matrix to do that. I imagine you having an Excel doc.
They are.
Oh, okay. So we would love to learn more. So maybe, on the Q&A, or you can send us something, because we value you so much, Dan. You're such an incredible leader. So modeling after you, I know, would be super important for us too. So love that. Thank you, Dan, for your inspirational words. And how is my stock trading this year? I love to think of it that way. That's really, really cool. Very, very neat. Love that. Stocks should be going up, right? Our personal stock. Yep.
First, my performance review with the board is February 22nd, so I can keep you posted after that. How about that?
Love it. Love it. Very, very good. I am now excited to introduce Dr. Richard Deming, Medical Director of Mercy One Cancer Center and founder of Above and Beyond Cancer, the nonprofit that leads cancer survivors on awe-inspiring expeditions. So Dr. Deming, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Years ago, anthropologist Margaret Mead was asked by a student what she considered to be the first sign of civilization in a culture. The student thought that Margaret was going to talk about fish hooks or clay pots or grinding stones. But no, Mead said that the first sign of civilization in an ancient culture was a femur that had been broken and then healed. She went on to explain that in the animal kingdom, if you break your femur, you're gonna die. You can't run from danger. You can't get to the river for water. You can't hunt for food. You are just meat for prowling beasts. No animal survives a broken femur long enough for it to heal. A broken femur that is healed is evidence that someone has taken the time to stay with that person who fell, has bound up the wound, has carried the person to safety, has tended to the person through recovery. Helping someone else through difficulty is where civilization starts. We are at our best when we serve others. Helping others through difficult times is the hallmark of our humanity. I became aware of this story about Margaret Mead and the beginning of civilization from a site that I visit often called the Charter for Compassion. And today, compassion is what I want to talk to you about. But before I do that, we have to talk a little bit about suffering. During the difficult days of 2020, we've witnessed suffering of all kinds. Some of it has come by way of a virus, some has come by way of hatred, and some by indifference. This year, more than any other year, I've taken solace in poetry. And I want to share with you a poem by a former poet laureate, W.S. Mervyn. It's called Here Together. These days, I can see us clinging to each other as we are swept along by the current. I am clinging to you from being swept away, and you are clinging to me to keep me from being swept away from you. We see the shores blurring past as we hold each other in the rushing current. The daylight rushes unheard far above us. How long will we be swept along in the daylight? How long will we cling together in the night? And where will it carry us together? So we've obviously witnessed suffering, but I would contend that witnessing suffering is kind of the beginning of finding compassion. In Latin, the word for suffering is passion, as in the Passion of Christ. The word for compassion, the word compassion in Latin, literally means to suffer with. So it's our own suffering that allows us to recognize what suffering is, and not just to recognize suffering, but it encourages us to respond to the suffering, to reach out to help alleviate suffering. The recognition of suffering in others is what we call empathy, the ability to understand and share feelings. Compassion is much more than empathy. Compassion is taking action to relieve the suffering we encounter. As the Dalai Lama said, if we see a person being crushed by a rock, the goal is not to get under the rock and to feel what they are feeling. The goal is to help remove the rock. So the compassion I'm talking about is not really a noun, it's a verb. It's an active verb. It's a strong and muscular positive force for good. Compassion in action is not some squishy, cuddly sentiment. It's not pity, it's not sympathy. It's a powerful way of life. So I hope to inspire all of you to cultivate this type of compassion. The suffering of 2020 has really brought many acts of compassion in action. I'm here in a healthcare facility, and boy, we are seeing it every second of the day as healthcare workers put their own lives on line to compassionately deal with the problems and to tend to those who are being cared for. But obviously, it's not just in the healthcare arena. It's grocery clerks, it's teachers, it's law enforcement, it's delivery folks. It's all of us coming together to respond to the suffering we've seen and to respond with action. It's the way the community came together to assist the hungry, the homeless, the unemployed. It's about social justice. It's about recognizing that all people share a common humanity and we have the right to equitable treatment and a fair distribution of goods. It's about environmental justice. It's about taking care of the land and the water and the air and all of life. How we interact with everyone and everything we encounter is really compassion. And I'd like to conclude with another poem, and this is one of my favorite poets, Mary Oliver, and this is her poem called Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about your despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Thank you. Go forth, cultivate compassion.
Dr. Deming, that was beautiful. Your love of poetry, your love of people, your passion for the human race and all that we're, going through right now. Just thank you so much. And thank you on behalf of the entire community for what you do there at Mercy One. This is an incredible time. I love that compassion is taking action for relieving the suffering. This is beautiful. Thank you. I'm so glad we're taping this. Just incredible words. I am now excited to introduce to the virtual podium Beth Shelton, CEO of Girl Scouts of Greater Iowa. She's an incredible speaker, writer and passionate community advocate. Thank you, Beth.
All right, great to see everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. I know that sometimes I get invited to events because people think I'm going to bring the cookies. And so I'm glad that even though this is a virtual event, I still got to be invited. So that means a lot. Thank you, because I assume you all know that you're not getting cookies today. So thanks for having me. You know, when I hear the other speakers so far, they are so inspiring. And when Catherine first reached out and talked about positivity and inspiration, I kind of had one of those moments like, uh-oh, I don't know if I can bring that right now. You know, the truth is, I have felt really lost this year, really sad, really exhausted, really lonely, missing so many people, missing events. And I'm really inspired to hear the speakers already talk about positivity. I also have a hunch that they are not teaching kids who are virtual learning at home with them, because there is no way you can stay that positive if you're virtual learning right now. So virtual learning is very important in keeping people safe. But I can tell you, anyone else on this call that's doing that knows hard to stay positive every day, isn't it, when you're working as well? So so happy to share. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to jump right in. So while I'm not entirely focused just on positivity, because every day I don't feel inspirational right now. Typically when I speak, I have a lot of spark, I have a lot of energy. And I thought today I would bring the lens of persistence and perseverance, which is another one of the attributes that Catherine's really talked about. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and jump right in. Because while it's been a difficult year, at Girl Scouts, we've really had some great victories as well. And I want to talk just a little bit philosophically about what that persistence has looked like in a way that is applicable to many other businesses. Okay, so first up, I loved this quote, and I think it relates so much to what Dr. Deming just talked about. Helping others through difficult times is where civilization begins, give or take was his sentiment there. I thought that was beautiful. And I loved this. And this is really how I've tried to tee up 2020 and our path forward as leaders at Girl Scouts. So what I regret most in my life are failures of kindness. Those moments when another human being was there in front of me suffering and I responded sensibly, reservedly, mildly. And so I've really made it my personal aim and really my true north this year and at this time to not respond mildly when I see people suffering, whether it's our team, our staff, or other community members or friends. So here's what I want to share today a little bit about the leadership perspective from this year, which is, check my time, there we go. Acknowledge where you are and turn on your navigation system. Now, acknowledge where you are. That reminds me a little bit of what Dan Houston just talked about. Fight the fight you have, right? Not the one you want, not the one you wish you had. Really, in my mind, I take that to mean acknowledge where you are. And I want to give an example of that. But secondly, turn on your navigation system. Know how to navigate those difficult decisions, those discussions, those policies. My gosh, every day in 2020, I had to make a decision that had no clear right answer for our team, for our staff, for Girl Scouts, and beyond, for our family, every day. And so when I think about that, I really had to decide, what is my true north? How am I going to know which direction to go here when I hit these hurdles? And it became do right by people. Now, that might sound really simple. Like, of course, Beth, we're all trained to do right by people. But there's daily decisions when you lead an organization, when you have to think about financial sustainability, and it doesn't always, sometimes it's clear as mud, you know? And so I want to give a couple examples of this. When we talk about acknowledging where you are, we all have frustrations at life and in work. And I really love this quote, this being the case, how shall I proceed? Right. And so when a team member comes to me frustrated, I always kind of say now, look, we've got three options here. Can you get over it? No? Okay. Can you remove yourself from the situation? Or number three, create a solution. Those are your options, right? This is the fight you're in. So this being the case, how shall I proceed? And boy, we really got to try this on for size this year in 2020. The Girl Scout cookie program is something almost everybody knows about, right? Because we love Girl Scout cookies and it's a big program. Nationally, it's almost $1 billion program. But even here locally, just for our chapter, we cover most of the state of Iowa with our members. It's about a $10 million program. So that's not nothing, right? It's a lot of cookies. And we get those cookies from a big bakery, right? And this happens in February and March, the cookie program. So from the bakery, it goes to three big delivery companies. From there, it goes to our 30 warehouses that we manage across our jurisdiction. Now, we had to suspend the public facing portion of the cookie program on March 17th. That is not a day I will forget. I had a lot of anxiety about that and really not much choice in the matter, right? This being the case, how shall we proceed? And I was on several news outlets and I think I cried a lot in March, and people reached out to me and said, "How you doing? You didn't look so good on the news. You looked pretty distraught." Because I was pretty distraught, because the reality is we have to pay for those cookies. We own those cookies, $10 million worth of inventory. And people said, "Well, how can we help? Let's get those cookies out of those warehouses." And wouldn't that have been handy? However, the supply chain for Girl Scout cookies doesn't stop at the warehouse. Those cookies go to 1,000 troop leaders who then disperse them to our 14,000 members. So the cookies on March 17th were in wagons and trunks and residential garages all across the state. They weren't in our warehouse. So when I think about those difficult decisions, that was a huge problem. The public facing portion of the program was suspended, of course, due to COVID and safety. And yet we had millions of dollars of product out in homes, in wagons and in trunks. I knew that if we didn't sell those cookies, we could not sustain. It would have been dire implications for our organization. As a nonprofit, cash flow is always an issue. Certainly when we prepay for those cookies and no revenue coming in, really, really big problem, right? Really in a crisis mode. And so the other option is to say, and many places across the country looked at and explored this option or executed it, which was make the girls and the family sell the cookies or pay for the cookies. And my gosh, it just felt like an impossible decision. I need to make the organization sustainable. We don't want to close our doors. We don't want to lose all of our staff. We don't want to close our camps. We don't want to stop our programs. On the other hand, I can't make people pay for these cookies. They also are experiencing a pandemic. We quickly made the decision to essentially write off the cookies for anyone who couldn't sell them. And I was a wreck, because I knew the implications. We had about $2 million left in the field at that time of inventory. In the end, because we made the right decision and we were really transparent with our members, they got excited, they got energized, they got motivated, and they ended up selling all the cookies they had. It ended up being one of our very best cookie seasons ever. And there's no way I could have known that on that crisis day where we had to make the decision to just write them off, do the right thing by people, staying true to that true north. It was such a tough thing to do. We've made several other decisions in this past year where we've really had to look at how can we make this work? We wanted to make membership free for every member this year. It's $25 a girl. We have 14,000 members. We thought it was the right thing to do, but my goodness, we didn't have the cash to do it. So we created a plan, we did it, and what a leap of faith. It's called, I love going back to what Catherine said to kick us off, really showing love. We created the Show Love program, which was anyone could join Girl Scouts in Iowa for free this year. We would pay their membership fee of $25. It was a huge leap of faith. I didn't know where we would get the money, and it was a huge risk. In the end, what we saw is that our members, our volunteers, our girls, they loved it. Of course, they felt appreciated, and the engagement went through the roof. We ended up having a record year when we closed fiscal year 20 on September 30th. It was the best year we've ever had. And along the way, I could not have had more days where I was so stressed that we would not be financially sustainable. I want to talk just a minute about our staff team, and then I'll close up. In addition to our other benefits that always feel really great and cool and robust, we added some things in light of COVID. 4 weeks of paid caregiver leave for any staff member, or for themselves or a family member, for the acute physical or mental care. Accommodation requests, we were delivering office furniture to people's homes so they could have their office chairs. Of course, across the board, telecommuting for everyone. These seem sometimes like no-brainers, but really difficult decisions when we think about sustainability. We operate 4 retail shops. How do we sell cookies? How do we sell badges? How do we sell vests, et cetera? In our staff survey, we asked the question, in the face of COVID-19, has Girl Scouts of Greater Iowa prioritized my personal well-being? 100% of our staff said yes. No neutrals, no disagree. And when I think about that true north, making those decisions along the way that feel so difficult or sometimes really feel contrary to our business imperatives, At the end of the day, following that true north has really been what got us through. You can see some great data here about our staff engagement over the last 5 years. 5 years ago being on the far left, other way up to this year on the far right. Are you inspired to do your best every day? 97% of our team says yes. Do I have work-life balance? 94 say yes. Our 5-year picture, our revenue has grown 26% in the last 5 years. And I put that in there only to show the business case and say, it is true. We want to do the right thing. We want to be great to people. And that's how we make our decisions. But at the end of the day, the business case is there. The last question on our staff survey is use 3 words to describe the culture at Girl Scouts of Greater Iowa. And then here's the word cloud. They can write any words. There's no prompts. There's no filtering. Supportive, innovative, inspiring, passionate, forward-thinking, flexible, focused, goal-oriented, collaborative. Those are the words that were repeated over and over and over. And so when I think about this past year, not every day feels positive. Not every day feels inspiring. But there's no question when I think about how can we navigate as people, how can we navigate as leaders, it's really, as Dan said, fight the fight you have. That being the case, how shall I proceed? Not making excuses, not complaining, and just acknowledging, okay, cookie program suspended, now what? If we can get through that as Girl Scouts, that gives me a lot of hope for the future. So thank you again for having me and for the time, and I appreciate the opportunity.
You can do anything. Absolutely. Look at this, Beth. Best year ever. Best cookie. I mean, that's incredible in the year of a pandemic. I mean, it's a huge testament to you and your leadership and your positive attitude and knowing what road to take, what fight to fight. So congratulations to you and the organization. And I love how you made it free for all the girls out there this year. That is phenomenal. What an incredible case study. Thank you so much, Beth. Really appreciate your words of wisdom. We are excited to now listen to Simon Estes. Simon is an internationally acclaimed bass baritone. You'll know that when you hear his amazing voice. Supporter of young music students around the world, and one of the first inductees into the brand new Opera Hall of Fame in New York City. So Simon, we're so happy you're here today. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. It's been fascinating to listen to the other speakers so far. And I'd like to speak, why are we put on this earth? Why are we born? When a baby's first born, his first response is to cry. And then once that baby starts to feed from its mother, it stops crying and it goes to sleep. And when it's hungry again, it can't talk, so it'll cry and mother will feed it again. And then before that baby even reaches sometimes 1 year of age, it already knows a reaction. That baby will feel love from its mother and the father, but you could make a little baby smile and the baby does not understand the words, but it can feel your spirit and it can feel your love. Love is the greatest force on earth and the most important force on earth. Love is God and God is love. People always say, well, who or what is God? What is love? When you love someone, you will care for them. And I think we have a responsibility today to change a little bit of our education. I think we need to have in schools and in churches courses about love and why we are put on this earth. We're put on this earth to serve one another, to serve with compassion, with understanding, forgiveness, and a little simple word again called kind. Be kind to one another. We know this last year has been a really difficult year, not only for us here in the United States, but all around the world because of this pandemic. Children need to be taught at a very young age that there is only one human race, and that's human beings. We are different because of geography, climate, perhaps diet. I remember when I was a student at the University of Iowa many years ago, started there in 1957. I wanted to be a doctor, but I ended up being a singer. So maybe I'm a singing doctor. But it has taken me all around the world. I've been on every continent on this planet Earth. And I realized that we're all human beings. As the doctor said, if the femur is broken with other animals, it won't live long. But we human beings, we can live longer because we have a doctor to not only set it, but someone to take care of us. And that's why we are on this earth today, is to take care of one another, to be kind, and if someone needs help, we should help them. We always think of sometimes too much about the negative part of life. But if we start at a very young age of teaching children in school and at home with their parents how important it is to be nice to one another. We need to teach children today that God made all of us and he made us different. I really do believe this. Different colors, different shapes of our eyes, different texture of our hair, to test the quality of our character. Can we love someone if they look different from the way we look? Once we get beyond this epidermis or the shapes of our eyes, on the inside, as the doctor can tell it much better than I can, we are all the same. I can save your life and you can save my life with another organ. But what's missing so much is we don't have communication. We need to have more communication between us and among us. In most of the world, they use the word peoples and put an S on it. But we just call it people, plural. But the other places, they do add the S. But once again, what are we on this earth? We're one people. I think perseverance is so very important because it produces strong characters. And I think to think positive is so important than to think negative. The doctor probably knows better than I do, but I've been told it takes more muscles to frown than to smile. And we need to stop thinking about all of the horrible things that have gone on in 2020. Now it's history. We have history, whether it's in a book or in ideas, for one purpose: to make sure we don't make the same mistakes of the past, so we record it in the form of a book or a history book. I think it's wonderful to have different professions. It makes diversity so important, whether it's in finance, health, education, entertainment, churches, spirituality. We need 3 forms of nourishment. And every child should have that opportunity to have these 3 forms of nourishment. First of all, the body needs nutrition to develop and to grow. So children at a very young age and throughout life has a need to eat healthy. So the body continues to grow. But then our minds, our brains also need nutrition. And how do we get that? From our parents, then going to school, education, middle school, high school, university, college. We must give nourishment to our minds. And I happen to be a Christian, so I think we need another form of nourishment, and that's spirituality. We all have a spirit inside of us. We have a soul inside of us. And so I get my spiritual nourishment not only by reading and studying my Bible daily. I've read it through 3 times, and I still read it every day, and I study it. And what is the Bible there for? It's a book that gives us guidelines on how to live a good life and a loving life. So I get my spirituality nourishment from my Bible by going to church when we don't have COVID-19. But I was brought up in the church and in the Bible and in qualities that my mother and father taught me at a young age. It is to love someone. And if we love someone, we're going to help them. We're not going to hurt them. We're not going to lie to them. We're not going to steal. We're not going to be immoral. We're going to tell the truth. You know, it says in the Bible, God says he hates a liar. So my parents taught me at a young age to tell the truth. I can still remember I only got one spanking from my father when I was a little boy. My cousins and I were outside playing in Centerville, Iowa, jungle. And so we broke off a branch and we had these spears that we were throwing. I was probably about 8, 9 years of age. I accidentally hit my cousin in the eye, and it went right in the vitreous human, this white part of the eye. And my parents had to rush him to the doctor. And he was crying so hard, he couldn't even say what had happened. So I said, "Oh, Kenneth fell on a stick and it went into his eye." My parents and his parents took him to the doctor, and the whole time I was praying, I was saying, "Lord, please don't let Kenneth talk. Lord, don't let him talk." They came home, and my father said to me, "Son, come here." He said, "I'm going to spank you, not because you hit your cousin in the eye with the stick, but because you lied to me." And he said, "When I finish spanking you, you will never lie again." I only had one spanking from my father, and I know I never lied to him again. Truth is so vitally important, because when somebody lies, they don't only hurt themselves, whether they realize they're not, but they hurt others. So honesty and integrity and kindness and love are the greatest virtues that we all have. My oldest daughter gave me a beautiful plaque in the shape of a heart, and it says, "Love is the music of the soul." Now, I don't have time to talk to you and tell you what I think soul is or where the soul is, but we all have a soul, and we are put on this earth to allow our souls to guide our lives with kindness, as I've said several times. People don't realize we make life complicated. To me, it is more blessed to give than to receive. And therefore, I want all of you to know that you have given a lot to me already, and we still have 2 more individuals that I'm going to give some academic nourishment and spiritual nourishment because of their lives. I wish all of you and this state and this country a more peaceful 2021. Let's all love each other. Let's help each other. And if someone hurts one of us, let's forgive. Forgiveness is a wonderful quality. So I wish all of you from my heart a very healthy, happy, safe, and blessed 2021. God bless all of you, and I love you.
Thank you so much, Simon, for your beautiful, beautiful words of kindness and love. Yes, if everybody wants to put a heart on their screen through their reaction there at the bottom, that is beautiful. We love those inspirational words, understanding, forgiveness, kindness, and nourishing ourselves, our minds, our spirituality, and incredible. So thank you so much for these incredible words of wisdom. We're going to be calling you the singing doctor from now on, I think. So yeah, I love that. Thank you, Simon. Very, very beautiful. I am now excited to introduce Suku Radia. Suku is the former CEO of Bankers Trust, vocal advocate for the region and highly involved community leader, and past name for many, many, many years, most influential business leader in the business record and by the community. And we're so excited that you are here today. Thank you, Suku.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Catherine. The panelists today are truly a remarkable group. And when I looked at the lineup of panelists, I quickly came to one conclusion. That is simply, I'm clearly the least deserving to be on this panel, but by far the most honored. So thank you for taking the time and taking the leap of faith, Catherine, to ask me to do this. I'm not from this country. So first I have to tell you that my faith in the American system, in spite of the recent attack on our democracy, is very much a reminder of when I first came to this country. And within a couple of years, Richard Nixon resigned from office. I expected riots and a lot of unrest. None of that happened, and I was really surprised by the strength of the system of our democracy and our system of government. So I'm still very bullish on the American democracy. I came from Uganda, East Africa, which was part of the British Empire and became an independent country in 1962. The first free election was held in 1963, and there has never been a free election held since. So please understand how strongly I feel about the democracy in this country. I'm of Indian descent, but was fourth generation in Uganda. And I had been in this country a year when my family was evicted along with the rest of the Indians. And I was literally broke and a man without a country. It was a difficult time in my life. I will never forget the kindness extended to me by my fellow Iowans. I rushed through college and finished in 8 quarters with $4.87 to my name. But I never compromised on my education, and my overarching message is very simple. Don't ever stop learning. The attainment of a college degree is only the beginning. Take advantage of every learning opportunity that comes your way. That is really, really important. As I stated earlier, I know the panelists very well, I'm truly honored, and I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to say a few words about each one. Dan Houston was just named our most influential business leader, as Catherine pointed out, for the 3rd consecutive year. That was just last week. Dan's record of achievements is truly, truly amazing. Above all, Dan is a true family man, and he takes wonderful care of the Principal Financial Group. Dan's talked about stock, and he said, this is my value, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought about myself, and I quickly concluded that if you could buy me for what you think of me and sell me for what I think of myself, you'd be extremely wealthy. So Dan, thank you for reminding me of my value. Dan is currently chairing the Water Trails campaign, which is going to be transformational, probably the single most important initiative in this community. Dan doesn't have to do that. As the CEO of the Principal, he's got a full plate, but yet Dan takes the time to give back. The Principal Charity Classic under his tutelage has raised over $30 million for charities benefiting children in central Iowa. And then I come to my friend Dick Deming. Dick is an exceptional radiation oncologist, but he has gone so far beyond treating cancer patients. He has taken cancer survivors to Machu Picchu, Kilimanjaro, the Himalayas, and the list goes on. you know, Dick has literally helped them rise to the challenge. So I've been very, very honored that I got to co-chair the Dick Deming Cancer Center campaign, which we have concluded. It would be an absolutely wonderful cancer center that Mercy won. Beth Shelton is truly another remarkable person. She has transformed the Girl Scout movement in Iowa. She inherited a difficult situation, financially speaking, and has done a great job with it. And her work on so many fronts has received national acclaim. And clearly, she's a very, very innovative individual. Now, Simon is a dear friend. Simon was raised in Centerville, Iowa. I know Simon is being honored next year. Simon's grandfather was a former slave. Simon has performed opera in front of, you name it, and he's performed in front of that individual. But as he has told me, probably the most moving was when he performed in front of Nelson Mandela. That inspired Simon so much that he started the Nothing But Nets Foundation, raising money for mosquito nets for children in Africa, and raised well over $1 million. And Renee Hardman, who does a superb job at the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Iowa, has been a longtime friend, first elected African-American woman to the West Des Moines City Council, doing a superb job there, inducted into the Iowa Women Hall of Fame last year, and her list of accomplishments is a mile long. But the bottom line is that all of these folks are truly inspirational. You know, I always say that ability may take you to the top, but it is character that is going to keep you there. So you have to trust your vision and your values. You also have to hold yourself accountable, as Dan Houston so appropriately pointed out. And in my case, at my age, I have become accustomed to learning from the young. My wife and I have been blessed with 3 wonderful children. And the interesting part is that I recall a specific story when Natalie, our youngest, was 5, and I was interrupted from some frustrating work on a speech about the impact of credit on our economy. And at that time, the economy was in tough shape. And I was working on this very complicated speech. But I had to take her to the mall to buy a birthday gift for one of her friends. So to keep her occupied in the car while I kept thinking about my remarks, I gave her my billfold. And Natalie had no trouble going through the billfold with the 1s and the 5s and the 10s. But when she came to my credit cards, the counting game came to a halt. She looked puzzled and then her face lit up. "Oh," she said with her big smile, "infinity." Talk about learning from the young. Now you're all part of the electronic generation. We've harnessed unbelievable power, and I simply urge everybody to use it wisely. Once again, I was taught a lesson by Natalie. She was about 5 or 6 at the time, and she came up to me and said, "Dad, will you play a game with me before we have dinner?" I was busy on my iPad, and I told her that we could play a game over dinner. When we sat down at the table, I asked Natalie if she would say grace. What she knew by heart was the Lord's Prayer. She began, "Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name," etc. And at the crucial moment, I heard her say, "And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from email." So the message here is very simple. You can think high tech, but always be high touch. To Simon's message, let's all be human and love each other. And the last thing I want to talk about is change. You know, Change is the only constant in life. We are all creatures of comfort. The only human being that truly embraces change, in my way of thinking, is a wet human being, is a wet infant rather, and even the wet infant cries about it. So as we seek opportunities in the midst of change, I dusted off a few pieces this morning as I was thinking about what would I like to say about change. And then I came across some insights from a book I read many years ago. It was written by Dennis Waitley called Empires of the Mind. He said, yesterday, natural resources defined power. Today, knowledge is power. Yesterday, leaders commanded and controlled. Today, leaders empower and coach. Yesterday, leaders demanded respect. Today, the leaders encourage self-respect. Yesterday, employees took orders. Today, teams make decisions. Remember the word teams. There's no I in it. Yesterday, value was extra. Today, value is everything. And finally, yesterday, profits were earned through expediency. Today, lasting profits are earned with integrity. Integrity happens to be the most important word, 9-letter word, most important in the English language in my mind. Again, very, very important. And I will stop now because I probably used up too much time. But I, again, wish all of you my very best and thank you for inviting me.
You know, this is why we love Suku so much. Suku thinks of others first. He always has. You know, he used this time to spotlight our amazing speakers. Suku sends personal notes of heartfelt. You know, Suku is always thinking of others, and Suku, we all want to be more like you. You are so thoughtful. You are so kind. I'm getting verklempt. So anyway, thank you for being here. It's wonderful. I'm excited to introduce to the virtual podium, Renee Hardman. As Suku said, Renee is CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Iowa. She is West Des Moines City Councilwoman, West Des Moines Chamber Board Member for 2021. We're so excited about that. And a passionate advocate for mentoring. Thank you so much, Renee.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Catherine, and your leadership team for putting together an Inspire event focused on the pillars of progress and positivity, possibility, and perseverance. Words that inspire and propel us forward. Just in case, Catherine, you need an additional word that starts with P. Wow, thank you to Dan and Beth and Simon Estes and Dr. Deming and Suku and all of the folks whom I know and have relationships with that have shared so much meaningful information. As the last speaker, you've heard almost everything, but I would like to just say that even in the world where we've experienced so much last year, it has been a year of so much growth and reflection and a deeper appreciation for family and friends and a sense of physical connections. Dan, I want to say thank you for talking about dreaming big. And I love the quote, fight the fight you want, not the fight you have. Dr. Deming, we are all at our best when we are helping others through compassion. Beth, I love the turn on your navigation system. I do miss the cookies though, and hope that we'll get those real soon. Simon, I love that you said love is the best gift that we can give to others. It's our basic foundation. And as always, Suku, you always remind us about how we are lifelong learners and how you can persevere in this world. But the best thing that we can do is be there for others. And we know that you have been involved in every meaningful project in this community and still remain engaged. All of this resonates with my life. And as a young adult who left Chicago to come to Des Moines, sight unseen in 1979, and chose to make Des Moines my home. Now West Des Moines, of course, let me make that clear. It's really the result of a single mom raising 3 girls that believed that our lives were destined for greatness, teaching me about fortitude and writing my own destiny and not placing in the hands of others who I could become. My journey to being a Drake student, go Bulldogs, a corporate executive at Bankers Trust, running my own business, serving as CEO at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Iowa, and serving city council, making history, being the first African-American woman in 127 years of its history. It's been an impactful journey that has been guided by the lessons my mother taught me, that life would at times be both fair and unjust, joyful and painful, turbulent and peaceful, encumber setbacks and comebacks. But what I remember most is that life would be more fulfilling when you give more than you receive. That's what my mom always told me. Life is measured not by the big things that you do, but the unexpected little things that you do for others. And how poetic. My life is about serving bigs and littles today. It is my littles that taught me the most this past year, because all they looked for us was for comfort and to let them know that the world was going to be okay. There's a quote that I'll share with you, and it goes like this: the 2 best days of your life will be the day you were born, and what Simon just said, and the day you found out why you were born. You see, we all have our why, and some of us are still searching for it, and that's okay. My why comes in the way of serving others, inspiring youth, and allowing my life to be a light for others. I think 2020 gave many of us an opportunity to explore our why. And if it hasn't been revealed to you, I urge you to explore it. Your why gives you that skip in your step, that joy in your heart, and the yearning in your soul. So as you search for this revelation, I ask that you be vulnerable as it allows you to feel. Be open as it allows you to explore. Be a risk taker as it allows you to grow. Be faithful as it allows you to embrace the impossible. And be hopeful as it allows you to live in the positive, and to be compassionate as it allows you to serve others. As I conclude this event, or this luncheon, I hope everyone's enjoying lunch, it reminds me of my all-time favorite poem, something that I read almost every day. And it reminds me of everything that you've heard today. And it's called The Dash by Linda Ellis. And if you've heard it before, it's never too often to hear it again. And it goes like this. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke of the following dates with tears. But he said that what mattered most of all was the dash between the years. For that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth, and not only those who love them, what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live our dash and spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that still can be rearranged. To be less quick to anger and show appreciation more and love the people in your lives like you've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remember that this special dash only will last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, when your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you lived your dash? So as you walk through this journey, the poem is over. As you walk through this journey that we call life, I urge you to reflect upon your dash. Thank you for Catherine for this opportunity to be amongst such great company and to share just a few words about the importance of our dash. Thank you.
I love that. Oh my gosh, what a poem. And Renee, your words of wisdom, being vulnerable, open, a risk taker, faithful, hopeful, live in the positive. We've had so many common themes here today. It's incredible. Thank you so much, Renee, for your leadership for our community, especially. We're so happy you're here. We do have a little time for Q&A, which is a marvelous gift, honestly. And our incredible Kara Matheson, who is our Director of Workforce and started at the Chamber September of 2018. She's our brain trust for the West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce. She's going to be working on a little bit of Q&A here for the next couple of minutes. And then we have some special announcements at the very end. And we'd love to show you our 2020 video that's called How We Rocked 2020. You'll have to get your seatbelt on for that as well. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the chat. And I'm going to turn the virtual podium over to Kara right now.
Thank you so much to Catherine, to all of our panelists. This just feels like I want to play this at the start of my day, every day, for all of 2021 to set the scene. There's so many nuggets to take away that bleed into both our personal and professional lives, because that's why we're here doing what we're doing. It's not just a job. We get to make an impact on the community that we are a part of. So thank you so much. And like Catherine said, we have a few minutes for Q&A. So if you have a question, go ahead and throw it in the chat box. I know there's lots of positive comments flowing through there right now, but if you have a question, go ahead and throw that in there. But I do see one asking Dan, let's start with that, to share a little bit more about your goal setting. Any tips and tricks for 2021?
Yeah, so appreciate the question. Number one, I think it's sort of a false sense of security to do it in 12-month increments. So I always do it in 12 months, but I also have a 5-year set of goals as well. And as I said earlier, I do set those in concert with the CFO for the company. And again, those are very much stretch goals. One of the things that I also do is I set my own personal goals, and I look at last year with a critical eye, assess whether or not I accomplished them or not, and then whether or not I would continue those on for the following year. But in terms of goal setting, as I work with my direct reports, and this is a lesson I learned long ago, many of us have these long, lengthy, standard kind of corporate center forms for self-appraisal. Mine's pretty simple. Here's the stuff I felt I did really well on. Here's the stuff I failed at, and here's my development plan. And when giving feedback to direct reports, I've just made it a habit to make sure that you have those equally weighted. No one needs to be told that they're just doing a great job. Where can you make performance improvements? And I'll tell you that the easy ones are the financial goals, right? Numeric, those that are easily defined. The tough one is, how do people work? And Suku mentioned integrity. Do they collaborate? Do they work well as a team? And Dr. Deming could tell us how important team and collaboration is to ascend a mountain and all of the component parts. So don't think that you get a buy on all those attributes relative to your the manner in which you achieve those results, because it does have to be done with a great deal of compassion. It's got to be done with a great deal of collaboration, and it's got to bring the entire team along. Hopefully that helps.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Dan. That's important. We've got another one that came through that I think we can maybe hear from all the panelists on for this one. Do you have any must-read books that you want to pass along to all of our attendees here today that you recommend you check out? Let's go ahead. Beth, would you like to kick us off?
Absolutely, would be happy to. I'm an avid reader. A few favorites from 2020. Dan Heath had a couple books. One was called Upstream, How to Solve Problems Before They Happen. That was a great book. Transcend by Scott Barry Kaufman was about self-actualization. The first few chapters are a little academic and then it gets really practical. So just stick with it. It's a great book. And then anything by Adam Grant, Malcolm Gladwell, or Yuval Harari, all three of those, everything they write, I find to be brilliant and interesting and amazing. So I'll type those in the notes as well if people didn't catch those.
Wonderful, thank you, great list. Let's hear from Renee next.
Yeah, thank you. I am currently reading a little book, and actually it's a kid's book, but it's meant for adults because we're going to be starting this club called I Am Enough. And it's a book called I Am Enough. And I was in Barnes & Noble last year and I saw this beautiful cover of this African-American young girl on the cover, and the title was I Am Enough. And I stopped and read the book right there at Barnes & Noble. And so I just love reading that book because it pours into your spirit. At times you travel in life, and I'm just being authentic to this message. We have our rough days and our good days. And sometimes you need to just sit over a cup of coffee or Mountain Dew and just read something that just inspires you. And so I love this book called I Am Enough. And I urge you to all read it.
Wonderful, carrying the inspiration through even into the book recommendations. I love it. All right, how about Simon?
I would suggest that if any of you have 15 minutes a day, because there are 1,440 minutes in a 24-hour period, spend 15 minutes reading the Bible. It is the greatest book ever written. It is the most book ever read. And it has a lot of beautiful stories in it. And it teaches us how to love one another. So if you got 15 minutes, it won't take you long. And I tell you something else, if you just read 3 chapters a day, which will take you less than 15 minutes, you will finish it. Oh, and 5 on Sunday. 3 chapters a day, 5 on Sunday, and you will complete the Bible in a year. And you will be a fantastic person, and you'll just love everybody.
Awesome, just 15 minutes a day. Let's all carve it out. Thank you, Simon. All right, Suku, let's have you go next.
I've been reading John Meacham's The Soul of America and Doris Kearns Goodwin's Leadership in Turbulent Times, both pretty appropriate, but I go back and forth between those two, but both I find to be really amazing, both great authors.
Perfect, thank you so much. And next, Richard, would you like to share?
Sure. So 3 quick ones. First, Jonathan Alter's The Defining Moment. It's the first 100 days of FDR's administration. Second, The Book of Joy. Got to read this book by the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. And third, and shamelessly, my book just came out this year, Above and Beyond Cancer. So those are the 3 I'd recommend.
Awesome, everybody check it out. Okay, and then Dan, let's hear from you.
I've got it right here. I never miss it. And so I would say with Simon, if you only have 15, stick to the Bible. But if you got 20, it's called the Daily Drucker. I've read this every day for 15 years. Peter Drucker is very well known. I'd call him a behavioral scientist, but it deals with servant leadership, the whole book. There's 1 page per day. It's a small book. It takes less than 3 minutes to read it. And then it gives you an idea to think about it. And as a matter of fact, this year I gave each one of my direct reports this book. They had not read it in before, and they so far 14 days into the year, they are still enjoying it. But it's all about servant leadership, and it will touch every topic, both personally and professionally.
That is fantastic. Well, if you didn't keep up with that and write them all down, the good news is we are recording and this will be on our YouTube. So if you need another goal to make 2021 a good one, definitely take note of those books from these incredible, inspirational leaders that we are so lucky to have with us today. So with that, I will send it back on over to Catherine. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you, everybody, for your book recommendations. I wrote them down and my credit card is going to be busy here ordering a lot of books. Love it. And I think Jay Byers mentioned this morning a Drucker quote, which I loved. And he said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. What a great quote from Peter Drucker. Love that. So we're going to finish our program. I just want to say the city of West Des Moines, the region, this whole incredibly amazing community, we are filled with the people that have the belief, the conviction, and the mindset that we will get through this and we will come out better on the other side. You know what? That is called West Des Moines Strong. Together, we have redefined impossible, and we will continue to do so time and time again. So everybody mark your calendar. Tomorrow, we have a community event, a big community event honoring the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. It is free. Just go to our homepage on our website and please sign up. We still have seats, virtual seats available for that. And big announcement. March 11 is our annual dinner, and we have an incredible speaker this year. We have secured the football NFL great Lynn Swann. Yes, that Lynn Swann? Yes, that Lynn Swann. So he is going to be speaking with us via Zoom, and we are really, really excited about his inspirational speak. It's going to be amazing. We also have something coming up we've never done before in the history of the chamber, and we are 96 years old. So this is big news. We are announcing a statewide event for the state of Iowa, and it's called the Black and Brown Business Summit. It will be April 22 and April 23. The mission and the purpose is to help uplift our Black and Brown entrepreneurs and business owners. We are here to help uplift that community. It's going to be incredible. It will be partially in person at Athene and then also virtual as well. We are expecting people from around the state, if not the entire Midwest, to log on. So we hope you'll be involved. Let me know if you would like more information on that. We would now like to show our How We Rocked 2020 video, and I'm going to have Bailey cue up the video. Everybody hang on to your seatbelts. It's a lot of fun.
You look at the things like the 5
Family favorite, right? So how are you doing, Jeff?
We're doing great.
Good. You ready for West Des Moines Eat Week?
We sure.
Well, thank you, everybody. I know that gets everybody pretty excited. Again, we want to thank our expert speakers, our amazing sponsors, Shive-Hattery, Christopher's Fine Jewelry, and again, amazing to Jay Mathis and Mary Ann as our incredible ambassadors that are waving that West Des Moines flag every single day. Thank you to staff and team, and we wish everybody a wonderful day. And guess what? We just gave you a gift of 1 minute of extra time in your day. I love when we can do that. That's so awesome. So everybody stay positive and test negative, and we love each and every one of you. Thank you.